Just spent the last 10 minutes texting my husband where the car keys were. Welcome to my life. Still allowed to drive our cars. Oh, so far anyway. I have to say, I first met Alan Miller, actually, via my show, radio station then. And he was this bloke who wanted to get pubs open. I thought, I can do business with this man. He's achieved an awful lot, and I am in awe of what Together has achieved over the last couple of years. There is, and I say this as someone who's a national broadcaster, who spends a lot of time with politicians, but there is a very loud, and there is a very influential, and there is a very powerful minority in this country who make decisions. I know a lot of them, went to uni with a lot of them, I'm friends with quite a lot of them, but they decide what we're allowed to do, and what we're allowed not to do, and what we're allowed to say, and what we're allowed not to say. And that's the bit that started worrying me. Because what Together has done, and what you all have done, is to mobilise not the silent majority. We've heard so much about them, haven't we, over the years? The silent majority. No. The silenced majority. The you can't say that people. The are you sure that's a good idea, people? They've given us a voice. They've given us a voice that's loud enough to be heard, and a voice that is loud enough to actually perhaps have an impact, and it really has. And what we've learned over the past few years is we have so much more power when we speak together and when we act together. But we can't speak together and we can't act together if we don't know there are other people who agree with us. And I am both sort of ashamed and proud of some of the things that happened in 2020 in terms of lockdowns. Sitting already with COVID in March 2020 in my home, broadcasting from home, not allowed to see anybody but my husband and daughter, and you know, trying to offer support to people who were also locked down, and then slowly realising, with the help of people who I had as guests on my show who were saying, we don't think this is a good idea. We think this isn't going to actually save anybody, and it's going to damage our children, our health, our mental health, our economy, our society. And they changed my mind, but only because I listened to them, and other people listened to them, and then people got in touch and were saying, we agree. And it was a journey. Now, some of us may have been on that journey from day one. Some of us may be on that journey perhaps even in the last, I don't know, few months. Maybe you've just started looking at Sweden's data. Maybe you started on this journey way after lockdowns. Maybe it was all about ULEZ, it was about low traffic neighbourhoods. It doesn't really matter where we started on the journey, how far we've gone along the journey. It matters that we're on the journey. And it matters that we take everyone with us. And I agree with Alan, it's really important. We've got to stay civil. We've got to use facts, we've got to use words, we've got to use our togetherness to convince other people, because they do still want to silence us. And I agree. I don't work for GB News, but we don't want GB News cancelled. Because I don't want any voices cancelled. You know why? Because if I think someone is saying or doing something I don't agree with, I can argue with them. And you can only argue with them if you can hear what they've got to say. Now, there are a lot of people who want to silence us. They call us names, anti-vaxxer, climate denier, TERF, whatever it is. I mean, gosh, I don't know how we have time to kill polar bears. We're still killing grannies, aren't we? It's so difficult to keep up with all the duties we have. But they only have to resort to name-calling because they haven't got the facts on their side. They only have to resort to name-calling because they haven't got the arguments on their side. We do. We have got those. And it's really important that we fight every single day, crucially, and it's something Alan touched on the right to speak out, the freedom of speech, because we haven't got any other freedoms without the freedom to speak. And we know those freedoms to speak, to live our lives freely, they didn't take months to get, years to get, decades to get. They took centuries for people to get in this country. Okay? And they could be taken away from us with one swipe on WhatsApp by Matt Hancock. That's how dangerous it is. That is how tentative those rights are. You have to fight every single hour of every single day of every single year to keep those rights. If you don't speak out, they will stop you the next time you try. So just finally want to end, we won't always agree on everything. There'll be some of you think, oh, well, you agree with the first few weeks of the first lockdown, or well, you don't agree on this, you don't agree on that. We don't have to all agree. We don't have to agree on anything or everything. We just have to know that when we all speak and when we work together, we are able to change things. And we can take back our democracy.